Well, Seth, did you get paid $1 billion this week? Because it seems like everybody else did in the sports.
I did not. If I did, I would not be taking this call from my basement.
Oh, you would? It would just be a basement on a ship in some foreign land on a yacht. It would still be a basement because Carly wouldn't let you upstairs doing it.
Wait, I made $1 million. Carly who? Jake what?
Jacob, you have boarding school. Ladies and gentlemen, Seth Kamen, Sean Palmer, Seth and Sean Sports. It looks like we're both in good spirits today. It's been an interesting week. Glad to have a little bit of time to discuss sports. We'll be discussing this with Gary Aid, who I'm sure will throw Jaylen Brown all in my face in 15 minutes. And I don't know. I don't think I'm deserved of Jaylen Brown being thrown in my face, but we'll talk about that in a second. But if you wanted to get paid, the week of July 26th is the week to get paid because everybody got paid today, Seth.
Today? Oh, did Mbappe take the deal?
No, it's been offered. Did you see Cole Kmet got 4 years and $50 million from the Bears? 53 catches, $12 million. By the way, Travis Kelce on line one. Right? I mean, your boy Saquon is back. How do you view that? Not on the field. I mean, the stance that he took. Look, running backs are not going to get paid big bucks anymore. They're just not. So the stance that he took is I'm going to hold out, and then he acquiesces and does not hold out. And what do you think the mindset was there?
I mean, I think the mindset was he still wants to get into – look, they all want the 3-year guaranteed contract. They all want the 4-year deal. They want what McCaffrey got. They want what Henry got, what Kamara got. The problem with Barkley is for 3 of the 5 years, he's been injured. How do you – and under the best of circumstances, no one's getting what McCaffrey received. That's gone. But how do you give someone $35, $40 million guaranteed if they've been healthy 2 out of 5 years? So, I mean, what's he going to do? Is he going to take the Le'Veon Bell stance? Going to sit out a year? You're going to walk away from $11 million over $2 million, $10 million bucks over $2 million?
So he got a little bit more than what he was being offered, right?
Mm-hmm.
An extra.
Extra $900,000.
Extra $900,000. He got $2 million of that up front.
Yep.
Right. And he got some incentives, but that's only if the Giants make the playoffs, right? So he got a couple, and he's got to hit escalation marks.
Yeah.
Which means he's got to stay healthy. I mean, at the end of the day, he's got to stay healthy. If he doesn't stay healthy, he's not getting franchised next year because that would be a $12 million, $13 million tax.
Yes.
That's not going to happen. And I'm actually surprised in this deal that he didn't get the guarantee not to be tagged. I would think
I was surprised by that also.
That's the leverage he had, right? Of all the leverage marks, that's the one he had. Now, maybe he presumed that it doesn't matter because next year if you tag me, that's more money than I'm going to get anyway, anywhere else.
I think next year's tag will be about 12 to 13 million.
Yeah, it's 20% raise. So, yep. So
it goes from instead of 10%, 10 million, 20%, it goes from 11 million, 20%.
Yeah.
So it's an extra, whatever it is, whatever the account.
No. I'm sorry. It does. It's 20%. It's the second tag is 20% of the tag. I don't think it's 20% of your salary. So it's 20% of the 10 million. So it becomes 12 million.
Okay.
I mean, whatever. It doesn't really matter. The interesting thing is in baseball, the compensation, you're only allowed to be tagged, literally tagged once. And then for the rest of your career, you're not able to be tagged anymore. And in the NFL, you can get tagged twice, and then the third tag, they do accumulate. So even if he gets tagged next year.
Wait, in baseball?
In baseball, you can get tagged once for the draft pick compensation.
Gotcha. Okay.
Arbitration, right? We offer you arbitration. You get tagged once. That minimum qualifying offer, whatever it is, you can get tagged once. And after that, you can't get tagged, which is why when you see Marcus Stroman at the trade deadline this next week, Marcus Stroman got tagged by the Mets. So he can't get tagged again. So there's no – if you're giving up a draft pick for him, you're not going to be able to recoup that in a draft pick later. That's basically what you're doing. In football, they do accumulate. You can get tagged twice, and then the third one is 40%. I mean, it's a ridiculous number, right? We've seen that. No running back will ever get tagged 3 times. That is, I think the third tag is the average of the top 25 of everybody's salary, which includes all the quarterbacks too. So that's never going to happen. Well, who else got paid? Tavon Diggs got paid today, about $100 million over 4 years. Cole Kmet gets paid today. Tavon Diggs, when you have CeeDee Lamb and other guys coming up, I'm kind of curious whether that's worth it. I don't see Tavon Diggs as a shutdown corner.
Nobody does. He's your big play. He's your risk reward corner.
And then you have Justin Herbert getting paid.
Yeah, but you knew he was gonna get paid.
Well, the question with that is who was going to get paid first,
him or Joe Burrow?
Joe Burrow, right?
Right. So now Burrow will be $275 million. I mean, what do you even say in response?
And 220 guaranteed, right? By the way, still the most guaranteed money in NFL history belongs to one Deshaun Watson, which just tells you how absolutely ludicrous that contract was and how desperate Jimmy Haslam was to do it. And so, yeah, 200.
Who else got paid this week? Dan Snyder got paid both got paid and is paying out this week.
Oh, please. You really think he's paying out?
I think someone's paying it.
Well, look, he made $6 billion.
Yeah, he's paying $60 million.
0.1%.
Right. So the equivalent of us paying $1,000 or $2,000. It's an annoyance, but
at the end of look, I see this as, and I'm not sure if you read the report. So I actually did. I read the entire report because of course I did. And it gives you a pathway to litigation. It really does. And if not a criminal suit for sexual harassment, certainly a civil suit. And it makes you wonder whether the other shoe is going to drop with the earlier report. Is that ever going to come out at this point? Now, granted, the findings were given orally, but there are notes. There are certainly notes. And what does the NFL has to lose at this point to get to doing that? I'm not sure. Look, it's like ding dong, the witch is dead, right?
I enjoyed watching the Redskins suffer for 25 years.
Did you really?
No, I felt bad for them.
I think right. That's the thing, right?
I'm a Giants fan. It's a little different.
Why?
No, if as a Jets fan, would you feel bad about New England suffering for 25 years or Miami suffering for 25 years?
If they were suffering merely so my problem with Dan Snyder isn't the on the field crap. It's the embarrassment that he gave to Commando fans, right? It's the look, I went through this, right? I'm an Islander fan. I went through this. I'm a Mets fan. The Jets were never in that situation, and the Knicks are perpetually in that situation, except James Dolan has kind of taken a back seat. But I can understand that. Seth, you can't. You've had great ownership your entire life, except for the Nets, I guess, with McMullen. before.
The Yankees right now is not great ownership.
It's still great. It's stable ownership. They're
Yes.
not. Are the Yankees owners embarrassing you?
I don't know. I was there last night. That was kind of embarrassing.
But that's the on the field product. That's not off the field.
Yes, you're not having the issues that Cuban had or Robert Sarver had, or I shouldn't say Cuban, but Dallas had or Robert Sarver had.
Right.
You're not having those kind of issues.
You're not having Daniel.
You're just having from a guy a father whose life revolved around the Yankees to a guy who really
right. But that's okay because that's the majority of the owners that you got so used to it. But Hal Snyder is not sexually harassing his employees. Hal Steinbrenner, excuse me.
Not that we are aware of. No.
His employees. He's not doing the John Spano where he's buying players with money he doesn't have. I mean, right? I mean, basically fraud. He's not James Dolan where he's hiring Isaiah Thomas, and then backing Isaiah Thomas and then paying an $11 million bill because Isaiah Thomas sexually harassed somebody else. He's not. You have never had that for any of your teams.
No,
so do I feel bad that the on-field product for the Commanders was horrible? No, of course not. Would I feel bad if Bob Kraft, if New England was in last place for the next 20 years? No, I think it would be justifyingly so. They should absolutely be in last place for the next 20 years. It's the embarrassment of the ownership. It's the embarrassment to be a fan. It's not wanting to go to the game. I'd still go to a Jets game even if they stink because I'd be proud of the team. I'd be proud of being a fan. I don't know Redskins fans that are proud of Commander fans that are proud of being Commander fans. And I think a lot
I don't know any right now.
Right. I think they view it as it's like BC and AC, right? It's like before it's BS and AS. It's before Snyder and after Snyder at this point, where we have a new beginning. And there was a great article on the Athletic. If John Harris would put the process in for Josh Harris, would put the process in for the Commanders. And I don't know how you would do that in the NFL.
What do you mean put the process? The tank for
process.
The tank for the QBs. Gotcha.
Because you have Sam Howell as your number one QB going in.
Which we have no idea what that value is.
But we also know that football is a lot harder, in my opinion, to tank other than just getting rid of all your players. You can't tank. I don't see tanking at Brian Flores, right? Tanking on the field is very difficult. You can't tell your guys don't play. You can't tell 11 guys don't hit the other guys. I can't see that happening. The only way that you can tank in football is basically for the Commanders to trade Jonathan Allen and then trade all their high-priced great talent to somebody else for draft picks. Unfortunately, in football, that comes with differing salaries and a whole lot else, right? You can just cut them all if you want, but then you'll lose even more fans. I'm not sure that works given what they just went through anyway, even if they wanted to try to do that. I don't know as a football fan whether you would tolerate that.
I don't know. I can see it I can't see it before the season. I can see it going, if you're 6 or 7 games in and we've talked about it when you're 1-5 and 0-6 and there's just no value add. And you tanked for Trevor. Instead, you ended up with Zach. What could have gone wrong?
But now we have in Aaron I trust.
Do you?
Well, he reworked his contract today, so we know this is at least a 2-year deal, which thank God.
Well, that was the thought.
What's that?
That was the thought. Right.
It's at least a 2-year deal, which is fine because now next year is not $107.6 million on the cap.
Which could be a little high.
A little high considering the most in any cap was Matt Ryan at like 40, and he wasn't even playing for the Falcons at the time. Are you ready to talk fantasy yet, or is it still too early?
Yeah, I can start to talk it because I have my first draft next week.
What? Wow.
I have my first draft a week from tomorrow.
Is this a dynasty league?
Yeah. We couldn't figure out a time frame for anyone else to do it. So it was I'm away the week before the last week in August. And there's a few my the development league, we're drafting, so we have to get in our keepers by Monday.
So you got choices to be made. So who are we talking here?
I'll pull it up. I do. I mean, one's a no-brainer. I have Herbert at 16.
So this is, first, it's an auction draft, right?
Yep.
Let's talk
every
about
draft. Everything is super flex auction.
So how many flex spots?
One super, one regular.
Okay. One quarterback or two quarterbacks.
There's nobody real. My team got decimated. There's really nobody that exciting for me to keep. I'm thinking of Tyler Lockett at $4.
Okay.
I'm thinking of Miles Sanders at $8. Like those are my real reasonable.
Well, the good part about that is you have lots of money to spend.
It is. Look, I can keep Keenan Allen. I can keep Terry McLaurin. I can keep DJ Moore. I can keep Hawkinson. I can keep J.K. Dobbins. They're all too much money to keep for me.
Right.
I mean, to keep DJ Moore at 34 doesn't make sense.
Nope.
And to keep Dobbins where he's just injured all the time doesn't make sense. And I don't know if I want Hawkinson at $9. It's not terrible.
$9 isn't bad. I mean,
it's not terrible.
I mean, I guess what would you redraft him at? You'd redraft him around 9. So to be sure that you have I would look at Hawkinson after the trade and look at the amount of targets he got, and now knowing that Thielen's not there, assuming that there'll be more targets.
I've already put discussion into that. I've already started to think like those are my three. Like Miles Sanders doesn't excite me, but at $8, it's not bad. Yeah. I mean, he's the definitive number one in Carolina.
Oh, I would definitely protect Sanders, 100%.
Well, you only get 2 protects.
Oh, I thought you get 3. Then I would do Sanders and your quarterback, whoever that is.
Yeah. I mean, Lockett at $4. It's just a good value. But
and that's presuming. Well, they drafted the wide receiver?
They did draft the wide receiver,
right? So I mean, and Lockett maybe. I mean, I think they drafted. He's the 3.
Jackson Smith, Nigba.
Right, because Metcalf signed, and Lockett signed. They're going to spend a lot of money on wideouts, and they have But wow. An actual a draft in it'll be August, so I guess you're still in time for so does this mean you bypass the whole baseball season?
I was there last night.
So how was that? How was the experience with so I have yet to go to a game during the pitch during the timer for the pitching.
It was like watching the Columbus Clippers play the Tidewater Tides. If those were the 2 AAA teams, neither team. The only players who looked good last night were Verlander and Alonso.
No, take away the teams. So you and I are used to going to 3 hour and 20 minutes, even 4-hour games.
This game was 3 hours and change.
Really?
Yeah. Jake and I left at 9:30 at the end of the 7th. The 8th and 9th innings went another 45 minutes.
Wow.
So it was over 3 hours.
And that's unusual for the games right now. I mean, I'm actually looking it up. Where the heck is the game? Hold on. So Monday, yes, it was Tuesday. Sorry. The game was, let's see how long it was.
I'm looking it up also.
Generally says it right here, but it is not saying that. Oh, it's on the right side. Where attendance is. Here we go. 3 hours and 11 minutes.
Yeah.
46,000 people. Was it actually 98% full?
No way. No chance. No, I went with Nuremberg, and
Right.
it was a buddy of ours and Jake enjoyed it, but
First game.
second
Second
he
game.
went to a game 6 months before COVID.
Okay.
But it was not a good game. It was not a well played game. It was not an interesting game. The most interesting thing that happened was you had a guy who struck out on a hit by pitch. Like,
What?
He
How did that
swung.
happen?
He swung. He missed, and it hit him. Hey, it's your catcher.
Alvarez?
Ninth inning last night. I was listening to it on the road.
To be fair, Seth, there is nobody that swings harder than that man. Nobody. Like, he's either going to hit it a mile or not hit it at all. So
that sounds like Vogelbach.
yes, well, that too. Vogelbach would fit very well in a beer softball league.
With John Kruk.
Yes. Yes.
The Yankees, they didn't have a player hitting over 265 in their lineup. It feels like a minor league team.
And Aaron Judge coming back is not going to change that.
No.
So we have the hard thing to understand for both the Yankees and the Mets is, and I would say the Cardinals too. The Cardinals have more, but not a lot. Is that there's very little to trade.
Yes.
There's very little for the Yankees to trade, right? I mean, they're not giving up Volpe. They're not giving up Peraza. Nobody wants.
They're not going to give up Dominguez. What they should do is they should bring up Florial and see if he can play. Because
nobody wants the guys on the roster. That's the hard part.
Their outfield is Jake Bowers, Harrison Bader, and McKinney.
Look, if you're going to trade, you would get bites at Bader. You would. You get a lot of bites at Bader. But Bader's the type of guy you want on your team next year.
Yeah.
You're not trading.
Bader you want to keep. I mean, Torres, we've talked about it. Nobody has developed in the last 5 years for the Yankees.
Right.
Andujar, Frazier, Torres, Sanchez. How many of them got better?
Yep.
None. So you're stuck with a whole bunch of mediocre.
And the funny part is the Mets have developed, right? You got Brett Beatty, you got Matt Vientos, you got Alvarez, you got Alonso who came up through the system, right? By the way,
is Alonso Dave Kingman?
No, Dave Kingman batted like 210.
Alonso's hitting 218.
Oh, he normally does not hit 218. I didn't realize
that. He hit 2 home runs last night. It felt very Rob Deerish.
Rob Deere batting 193.
There you go.
Then leading. Well, I mean, look, he has not played well this year, but neither have any of the Mets. I mean, he batted his 5-year career 260, 231 in 50s in the COVID year, which nobody counts. 262, 271. I mean, he's a 250, 260 hitter. He is not Dave Kingman. Okay. He also strikes out 128 times and not Rob Deere
195 times.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at these lineups. Neither team has a player hitting over 270.
Well, you said it. Neither team is very good.
No. But I look at the Mets players and you feel like there's upside there.
Yes.
I don't feel any upside on the Yankees.
Well, and this has been something that you and I have talked about for going on for a couple of years, right? Where we say this about basketball and we say this about football, but we very rarely say it about baseball because there's no salary cap. but there are bad contracts. And if you are not Steve Cohen and you are not the Dodgers, right? And you are not the Phillies and Dave Montgomery, and you are not what the Red Sox were, or you're not what the Yankees used to be, those are okay because I'll just put another salary in and pay my tax.
Throw Ed Whitson in there.
Right. Danny Tartabull, right? We talk about this all the time. The Danny Tartabull mistake, no problem. $25 million. George said, he's not working. We'll just pay somebody else to have it, right? The Yankees are not the Yankees of that time anymore. So they don't do that. So, yeah, they got rid of Aaron Hicks this year. Well, congratulations. They paid him off to get out, but that was $10 million for the next 2 years. If you look at their payroll, and we have done this every year for the last 5 years. It has not gotten any better. And that's the problem. You have Aaron Judge at $40 million. Okay, that is something you can justify that, right?
You had to, yeah.
You can justify Garrett Cole at 36. You can.
Mm-hmm.
Can you justify Giancarlo Stanton at 32?
No, but remember how you got Stanton, and remember what Miami paid to get rid of Stanton.
I get it, but you're still paying. So let's say you're paying 25. Can you justify him at 25?
No, because
he's never healthy.
What?
He's never healthy.
No,
and he hasn't played the outfield. Okay, Carlos Rodon, the guy that your ace, well, not your ace, but your number two that you signed this year, who has pitched, I think, 3 games.
Yep.
All right, you're paying him 23 for 5 more years. Josh Donaldson, you're paying 21. Obviously, that's a sunk cost. Anthony Rizzo for 2 more years at 17. DJ LeMahieu at 15. And then you get into your, quote, younger players, and you're looking at them like Severino's 15, Torres is 9, Bader's 5, and you still got to sign Bader at the end of this year. Like, if you're starting your salary next year, 2024, at 32, 38, doing math, 75, 107, you're at $177 million for 7 players.
Yeah. That are not great.
And if the luxury tax, and you're paying Hicks another 9 on your CBT. Yeah, it just doesn't work. So if you're the Yankees, let me ask you, Seth. I'm a Knicks fan. I have perpetually said that Knicks fans, if you told them they were going to suck for 3 years, they would be okay with it, as long as there was a plan at the end of 3 years, right? We would say, you know what? The process would work in New York. I don't think people would – I really don't think people would have revolted. We would have been fine. We would have understood. That's what we're doing. And in 3 years, Donnie Walsh would have produced a championship team. He was well on his way. If James Dolan doesn't say you got to give up the farm for Carmelo Anthony, we probably get Anthony that summer, and we have a championship team, a potentially championship team. Are you okay? Now, some of these contracts, you're paying $130 million out to 2027 right now for 4 guys. Would you be okay as a Yankees fan tearing it all down? And by tearing it down, I mean tearing it down.
Here's the problem. I'm okay with it. But the problem is you signed the best pitch, one of the 5 best pitchers in baseball for 8 more years.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to want to be on a full-fledged rebuild.
He's also got no trade clause, which doesn't
help. Which he can waive in a second.
Yep.
Aaron Judge, you signed to an 8-year extension, 9-year extension, whatever it is. He doesn't want to be on a full-fledged rebuild. So you've got a real problem because there's a good chance that both of them would want out. Now, you don't have to fulfill it, but...
Well, that's my point. When I say full rebuild, Seth, when I say
unload everything,
you're tearing it down to the studs. Those are the first two guys I look to trade.
Yeah.
Those are the first two guys that have value. And I'm not saying you might have to pay some of that money, because you will. Nobody's signing Aaron Judge for $40 million for 8 more years.
Nope.
Garrett Cole for 5 more years, you might be able to get something at 36. Because if you look at what Verlander and Scherzer are making, you can justify that.
Yep.
But this is the problem the Yankees have, is stubbornness, in my opinion.
Because you have, Mike said it well last night. You have a GM who's been there for almost 25 years.
Yep.
As the GM. He's brought in everybody. It's his team. And if he couldn't tell after last year that this team wasn't going anywhere, do you think Steinbrenner wants to get involved with pretty much building a whole new front office? That's his feeling. My feeling is Cashman and Boone are gone after this year. But, the reality is Cashman came in 96 after most of that job was done. All these young players were coming up when he became the GM. He didn't develop them.
Right. So
what did he do after the core four? Yeah, he brought in David Wells and he brought in Clemens. Okay. But over the last 25 years, where you've had, if not the most spending in the top 3 for the last 25 years, you've won 1 World Series. In a year, you spent $500 million on 3 players. And contingent on whether you want to say 2001 was part of that or not, you've been to 1 other World Series.
Yeah.
That makes you less effective than the Marlins, or as effective as the Marlins. What exactly has he done to warrant this loyalty? Nobody's developed. They bought.
Look, the answer is that he's been Steinbrenner's face, right? That's his loyalty.
Yes.
That's what he's – if you can put it – look, what has Roger Goodell done? What has Rob Manfred done? Both have been, for the fans, horrible, right? You can make the claim that Roger Goodell may be the worst commissioner in the history of the NFL for the fans. But why does he get a new contract? Because he's the face of the owners and he takes the hits. And because Daniel Snyder is getting $6 billion for the Commanders. Why was Rob Manfred given a new contract today when nobody, and I mean nobody, likes this guy? Well, the owners do. He's a good face. He takes the hits. That's what the face.
That's what good company guys do.
That's right. That's what good bosses do. They take the hits for other people. Right? It's just
yes, I do.
And so do I. Look, this is what we do. And so does he inspire loyalty? I don't know. The Yankees are worth $7 billion, Seth. There's something about that, right? Yeah. Maybe he doesn't get it done on the field, but he gets it done off the field. Somebody's doing something right. Now, I got to tell you, I'm not exactly – if I'm a Yankees fan, I'm not happy. But more importantly, welcome to the despair that I know, right? Yeah. And like this – you are in the world of the Islanders right now in the 1990s. We had Ziggy Palffy. We had our guy, right? We had a guy that could score 40 goals a game, and that was our guy. And we didn't have anything else. And we hoped and hoped and hoped, and this is where you land. And you're the Knick. You're back with – more importantly, you're back with the Yankees of the 80s.
Yeah. Well, there's one saving grace to all of this.
You're a Giants fan?
It's baseball.
Yeah. You got Andrew Thomas signed to another $100 million deal.
They were going, you know what? He was probably going to be more after next year.
You know, the funny thing is about these deals, Andrew Thomas is one of those guys, and we can move on to Jaylen Brown because it looks like Gary's not joining. But more importantly, I love the reclamation projects that earn this type of money. And I don't mean that he was so bad that they were going to cut him, but if you talk to Giants fans 2 years ago, and whether Andrew Thomas, fresh out of college, who had the most penalties for any left tackle in football, you guys were all saying, move him to right, draft another tackle. Move him to right, draft another tackle. Move him to right, draft another tackle. And now he's the highest paid left tackle in football.
Yeah, but I can't call someone a reclamation project after their rookie year. That seems silly.
Okay, maybe reclamation's wrong, but
he had a bad look. Mekhi Becton was a Pro Bowler freshman.
Trust me, if he becomes the highest paid left tackle in football after this year, and
you guys are probably went to the AFC title game.
Yes, and I'd be happy to make him that. But that is what I'm talking about, is that when you have a guy, look, us fans, we are not patient people. We're just not. We don't understand what it takes. Sorry about that. We don't understand that it does take time. And in today's NFL, we want plug and play people. And that's the hindrance. Okay. So let's move on to the most underpaid player in the NBA.
Not anymore.
So I've given you some time. Have you come up with a better comp than who I can? So, ladies and gentlemen, Seth and I had a conversation yesterday. The question was to me, would I rather have Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown? And my take was I would rather have Jaylen Brown than Jason Tatum. And Seth said I was crazy, which is fine. You are welcome to your opinion. But I would rather have a guy, even at 6'6", that plays better defense and may not show up the right way that you want him to show up. But to answer your question, Seth, he's made 2 All-Star games. He was All-NBA second team last year, not third. Jason Tatum was first. I do understand that. Last year, he averaged 26. He was 9th in the NBA in scoring. The year before, he was 13th. And the year before that, he was 17th. Okay, this guy can score.
Mm-hmm.
He's never been Batman. He's always been Robin. So, who is he like? I said it before. He's Latrell Sprewell.
I don't find him the same kind of player.
Because he's not annoying as all hell. He doesn't choke people.
Brilliant. Is that your professional opinion? He's not the same because he doesn't choke people.
So I'm going to put a comparison into Pro Basketball Reference. Okay. So Latrell averaged 0.4 points more per game. Jaylen Brown averaged 1 rebound more. Latrell averaged 2 assists more. They both averaged the same steals. They both averaged the same blocks. Different time. So Latrell averaged 42% field goal percentage. Jaylen Brown 47. 3-point percentage. Jaylen has more. Free throw percentage. Latrell has more. I see this as pretty spot on.
Okay.
Not sure who else I would go with. And according to Basketball Reference, there's just not enough data. I mean, they got Mike Banton, Walt Simon, and Phil Hubbard. 3 guys I've never even heard of, so I can't imagine that.
You've never heard of Phil Hubbard?
No. I'm going to look. He averaged 10 points per game over his career.
I'm in Jaylen Brown Pro Basketball Reference. Is this Pro Basketball Reference or Basketball Reference?
Basketball Reference. You're right. Basketball Reference.
So where do you do a comparison?
It is, if you go down about one page. There's a box that says type somebody in. Use the stat head to compare to. Who do you got? I'll punch him in. Who you got?
No, I'm thinking here.
I mean, that's the Now, he doesn't deserve to make $60 million.
No.
Okay?
No.
But
let me make this clear. No. He doesn't.
And Tatum's going to make more next year when he gets his extension. Understand, it's just a matter.
I thought Tatum was making 55.
In his first year. In his first year, and then it escalates.
Oh.
But we have to look, Seth. We have to look at basketball salaries. I think, and there was an Athletic article about this. You have to look at basketball salaries in the same way that you look at quarterback salaries, in that it is a percentage of the cap. So the max, as long as the basketball revenues go up, the cap will go up. As the cap goes up, the percentage, obviously, of the highest percentage of that cap obviously goes up. And the max contract is 35% of that cap. So obviously, as revenues go up, cap, Jaylen Brown. The thing is, once we get to that second apron of tax, you can't do anything. So this is the team, this Celtics team, is basically what you are stuck in for the next 3 to 4 years. And I guess the question is at this point, by the way, you also can't sign anybody from a buyout. Just so you know, this is your team. Is Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Porzingis, Derek White, Robert Williams, Malcolm Brogdon, because you know Horford's on borrowed time, right? A couple of years, he's gone. Is that a championship team?
Could be.
See, and I don't see that as a championship team.
But let's be honest, a year ago, would you have seen Denver as a championship team?
I picked them last year to win the championship, so yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
did you? I don't remember.
Yes, I picked them to win the West and to win the championship. So yes.
Okay. So I look at the East.
By the way, it is the first prediction in like 25 years I've gotten right. So
you should have been crowing over this a little bit more, but then
that's okay.
You look at the East. The way I look at it is the East. Philly is a mess. Milwaukee is one injury from being is old, other than Giannis, and is one injury from not being there. Who's your number two? The Knicks? The Cavs?
Yes, it's the Knicks.
Okay. Would you take the Knicks over the Celtics?
Right now, no.
Then if the Celtics can make the finals, I don't see how you can argue that they're not a championship caliber team.
Today, so you just said Giannis is one injury away. Would you pick the Bucks over them right now? I would.
I'm not saying Giannis. I'm saying the big three are one in Milwaukee or one injury away.
Okay. Well, and if Jason Tatum has an injury, it's gone too, right? Jason Tatum's hurt. The Celtics are done. Jaylen Brown gets hurt. I think Jaylen Brown's more valuable than Tatum, so I'll say that the Celtics are done. They can withstand an injury to Porzingis. That's fine.
Yes,
they can withstand an injury to Robert Williams. That's fine. But those two, and they're done. So
right. Those two are 24 and 25 or 25 and 26, not 32, 34, and 29.
Sure. I think that, first of all, I think you said, are the Knicks there? Are the Knicks there today? No. No, they're not. The Knicks are one trade away from being there. They are. They're one trade away. Could it be that big guy in Philly? Man, I hope it is. But then we have the conversation, Willis, Patrick Ewing, or Joel Embiid, which is even a better. Who's the best Knicks center of all time?
It's Willis. Carl, was I supposed to be paying attention to my wife during this?
No, but I was.
I know you were. I saw the dog dancing. I see the screen.
So, I mean, look, the salaries themselves are off the
Hold on for 2 seconds.
Yep.
What?
So the salaries themselves are off the charts. Let's understand where we are. So when you have Jaylen Brown earning $60 million and you Jason Tatum earning $60 million and you're $120 million, now you're going to hit that second apron. That second apron has so many restrictions. We haven't really talked about what we didn't talk really about what those second apron restrictions were, but it's important to realize what they encompass. So it looks like Seth's back.
I had to get your attention somehow.
You could have added yourself.
I can't. No, you can't.
Oh, you can't? Oh, I am in control. Okay, second apron. No access to the mid-level. So you can't add that $5 million player. Teams cannot use a trade exception generated by aggregating the salaries of multiple players. So if you trade 4 players for a trade exception, you don't get that exception. Teams cannot include cash in a trade. Now, why is this important? Because as we noticed in the NBA draft, teams are buying second-round picks at like $4 million a pop. And that's why so many trades got taken place this year, because there are going to be so many teams over that second apron by next year. Teams cannot use a trade exception generated in a prior year. So if you trade right now, the Celtics got a trade exception of $7 million. Next year, they won't be. Generally, it's a year, a full calendar year. Now you won't be able to use it. First round picks 7 years out are frozen. So it means you can only trade 3 first-round picks, not 4. A team's first-round pick is moved to the end of the first round if they remain in the second apron for 3 out of 5 seasons. I didn't even know that one.
No idea.
That's fantastic. So that means if you have a huge salary and you suck in that 5th year, it doesn't matter if you're a lottery pick. You're going to the end of the first round. Huh. Yeah, you know who that may affect one day? Your Brooklyn Nets.
That's where I figured you were going.
Because if Phoenix sucks that much, and yet they're still over the apron in 4 or 5 years, that pick that you get actually moves down to the end of the first round. And it becomes as if they won the championship. Which, wow, I didn't even think about that. Anyway, the second apron is a lot. That's basically what it comes down to. The penalties are more stringent. Luxury tax be damned. But it's a lot of money for a guy like Jaylen Brown. But it's a lot. I don't know anybody that said that we look at the top players in the NBA who are earning the most. I think the 3 highest earners are Nikola Jokic, who deserves it, Bradley Beal, who does not, the 4, Damian Lillard, who does not, and now Jaylen Brown. If you were going to pay one of them over the next 4 years, I assume it would be Jokic. But if you're going to pay the second one, I'd rather pay Brown over the other 2.
Agreed. He's younger and plays better defense.
All right, I got to drop off early. Do you have in 5 minutes? Do you have anything for your last 5?
Can we talk about about Mbappe? Mbappe?
775.
Well, just when we thought it couldn't be more ridiculous. Kylian Mbappe, who's probably the best player in the world, wants to leave PSG.
Right.
PSG is okay with him leaving because next year they would lose him for free.
And they only want him. He only wants to go to one place. He only wants to go to Real Madrid.
Yes, he only wants to go to Real Madrid.
See, I know something.
There you go. Real Madrid has bid on him twice and he's rejected, so they're a little gun shy. So nobody knew what was going to happen until Saudi Arabia, because the money's certainly clean, offered him $770 million, whatever the hell it is. Is it I don't know.
$773 million.
Is it dollars?
Oh, what? Yeah, I think it's the equivalent of $773 million.
So
plus a $330 million.
$330 million to PSG, $770 million to him for 1 year.
For 1 year.
1 year. You know what? I'm moving to Riyadh for 1 year, $770 million.
There is no reason not to do this, is there?
No.
Is there any reason for him not to do this?
No. It's $770 million.
No, my question is, then why is it not done already?
Because his reputation will take a hit? I don't know.
Will it?
I don't know.
I could buy a reputation for $773 million.
Well,
now the question is here. Let me ask you this. And this was posited on some, I don't remember where I read it. If the Saudis wanted to start a basketball league, would players go? I mean, players in the NBA.
I don't think so. I think the U.S. is more nationalistic, and people don't really want to play overseas if they can help it. Mm-hmm. Where in Europe, it's much easier and much more culturally accessible, allowable, normal.
Acceptable. I think it's the word you're looking for. Yeah.
What did you say?
Acceptable. I think that's the word you were looking for.
So I don't see, look, you'll have the anomalies, but I don't see Damian Lillard leaving $60 million in Portland to go $70 million, $80 million in Riyadh.
Well, I'm not talking about 80. I'm talking about 180.
We all have our price. We're all whores at the end of the day.
I think, look.
My price is not bought for the record. I don't know if they allow my people in the country. My price is not $773 million. And I am a pretty good goaltender.
I'll take 10% of that. I'll be fine.
10%.
1%?
You're not going to go there for $7 million. You'll find where you'll live wherever the nearest amusement park, right next to the nearest amusement park. Who the fuck are you kidding?
Seth, I'll still be renting. I will still not have a But the fact is, look, I think it's actually something that may come to pass. Do I think LeBron James will play there when he's 25 or 30 or 35? No. But if he got to offer at 40 to go there for 1 year and $180 million at the end of his career, the twilight of his career, why not?
Yeah.
I just don't.
But I'm talking more about prime players in their prime.
Correct.
Okay. Who have not won titles in the NBA. Look, to me, I would take the money. I would take the money. But I think basketball would be the most difficult sport to get people. Well, football doesn't exist there.
Right.
Baseball doesn't really exist there.
Right.
So basketball, I think, would be difficult to do. Mm-hmm. But you could develop a league.
Yeah.
Look, they have unlimited money.
Seth, they could buy the NBA.
They could buy our country.
No, I'm saying they buy the NBA and move them to Saudi Arabia. I mean, whatever. You got the player contracts. You got to play. So one thing before we go. Look, the news about Bronny James yesterday is incredibly unfortunate.
It is.
There have been basketball players that have played after a similar episode. So it's not like this is the end of his career potentially. The hope is that it is not.
There have also been players who did not recover.
Correct. It goes both ways. I'm just saying this Keon Johnson in San Antonio does have a heart condition. He plays.
No, you're thinking of Keontae Johnson, the one who played at Florida, then went to Kansas State.
No, nope.
You're talking about Keldon Johnson.
Keldon Johnson. Excuse me, Keldon Johnson. So people have physical ailments and they still play, and yet we've seen the other side, right? The Reggie Lewises and the Hank Gathers. And the only thing I could think of when I saw that was Hank Adams. I mean, that was the first. I don't know if that was your first thought, but it was mine.
It was. It's
And-
always my first thought when I see something along those lines.
And that's unfortunate. But we wish him well, and we'll be back next week with more sports. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Have a good one.